Good evening, Internet Explorers. Did you know that history was made last night? There was the first international giant robot duel competition between America and Japan. It was an event that had been building up for years. There was a Kickstarter. I actually participated in it. There was so much hype surrounding the event that it's not entirely surprising that the final results were met with a little bit of controversy. Some people felt it was over too quickly. Some people felt like it was very anticlimactic, a little too staged even. Though I think we did get some spectacular moments out of the event. However, while these two nations duel, two other completely separate nations face their own challenges. You see, whenever there's an event like this, certain online communities are faced with an influx of attention. And attention can be a good thing. It's the lifeblood of any community. You need a certain amount of population who's dedicated to discussing things to keep a community alive, to have these great moments of social bonding and interacting. However, too much attention can also cause its own problems. To have too many kind of invading and coming in to these communities and breaking rules and causing a lot of negativity. And two communities last night, two nations, Reddit and 4chan, had to deal with a massive influx of attention thanks to this event. The two conduits for this attention, on one hand, on Reddit, we had our Megabots, a community based around one of the teams competing in the competition. On the other, you had 4chan's board that's entirely dedicated to discussion around mechas, which is just giant robots, anime, shonen, whatever, Japanese words. So if attention is energy that's fueling these communities, these massive communities, our Megabots is a community that was quickly constructed around this event. They've been around for a couple years, but it's entirely dedicated to the idea of this event, to these teams fighting this battle. So it kind of sprang up quickly. It was directly proportional to the popularity of these competitors. So you have a very large population, a huge number of people are a part of this community. However, not a ton of regulars, not a lot of people who are stopping in frequently because the news about this event was very intermittent. There wasn't always a lot to discuss. So in a way, the engine of this community is hype driven. It is entirely fueled by hype. Hype being this kind of unreserved, unrelenting excitement about something that unfortunately is a very volatile fuel source. It's something that can very much turn around and blow up in your face in a kind of event that I like to refer to as No Man's Sky effect. No Man's Sky effect is something where a community can become massively popular and then also completely turn into this mess of hatred and arguing and negativity all within hours. You can have a community built up within hours and torn down within a few more hours. And I think we're kind of seeing that effect a little bit in our Megabots, not to the extent of No Man's Sky, obviously, but definitely sort of getting that hype spiral going on, where a majority of the discussion is based around, I was disappointed, and another person saying, well, I wasn't, and another person saying, well, you should have been, and another person was saying, you should be happier. And that's pretty much the entirety of the discussion going on this board right now. Then, in a very different kind of community on another side of the internet, you have 4chan's Mecha board. Now, this board is much smaller and less focused on giant robots and just more focused on cool robots in general. This could be in anime, manga, Super Sentai TV shows, that sort of thing. It's just a very broad discussion of robots, fictional or otherwise. However, I think the main thing that differentiates this community from our Megabots is that there's a lot more history there. There's a lot more regulars there. There's a lot more experience in regulating this community, both on the mod sides and on the frequent users. Every person who visits this board is very passionate about giant robots. So last night, when there's a huge influx of people coming to talk about this event, you had a lot of people who were saying they were very disappointed with the event, but you had almost just as many regulars saying how excited they were about how this was just the beginning of something great. They managed to contain the hype into this one pin thread so that any other kind of people coming in and breaking the rules could be quickly dealt with, and that the hype was contained to this one small vessel, and it was able to channel it. Attention is definitely a form of energy online. It's something that you can harness to do good, or if you're not very cautious with it, it can end up exploding in your face. I think the debate that's interesting right now that's going on is whether or not Megabots harnessed their energy well enough. There was a lot of attention on this event last night, and a lot of people think they didn't handle it well. Other people think they handled it as well as they could. Personally, going into this event as somebody who actually backed it, I was a little disappointed. I was expecting more. I was hoping they could do, I don't know, something a little bit more. Honestly, I was hoping for WWE with giant robots, but we have to start somewhere. And in fact, going and visiting M just to see how they reacted to the event, I came out feeling a lot more optimistic about it and feeling more positive, which is a weird thing to go to 4chan and come out feeling better about something. That really says something about how cool of a community that M is. In particular, there was one Anon who was talking about how the first automobile race took place over the course of 7 hours, and the cars were going about 7 miles per hour or 11 kilometers per hour, and how we have a long way to go, but this is just the beginning. What do you think, Internet Explorers? Do you think Megabots channeled their energy well, or do you think they could have done a better job? Something to sleep on. I hope you all have a good evening.